I'm going to give y'all my story, not his story, of how it happened and how it really went down on Rikers Island. And how this gang culture even came about and why it's so out of control. In 1993, Rikers Island was segregated by boroughs. Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island, Staten Island. Staten Island is a borough, but Long Island isn't a borough, but they stuck mostly with guys from Brooklyn or from Queens. It seemed like the whole Brooklyn was in prison because no matter where you went, from Rikers Island to upstate, Brooklyn was in control and Brooklyn was in the house. It was about what you knew and not who you knew. And when I say what you knew, meaning you had to be able to fight. Either with your hands, with a knife, with a razor, no matter what it is, just fight back. And if the guy that you knew was a tough guy and you was a punk, he would even flip on you and let them rape your locker. But Brooklyn and the 5% nation was a force to be reckoned with. Even in the bullpens on Rikers Island and in all the borough prisons, they would segregate you by pens, by Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, whatever borough you was from, they would put you in that pen, or wherever your crime happened, they would put you in that pen. They would segregate you. Latinos held it down. Some, Caballo, Head, some certain people with certain names held it down when they went to certain buildings on Rikers Island. But in the whole, Latinos was being oppressed by blacks. And this was going on for years. Blacks was oppressing Latinos. They couldn't get on the phone. They couldn't watch baseball. They couldn't watch Noticias, La Mega Se Pega, no Novela. They couldn't watch nothing. Latinos was being oppressed to the fullest. They was in fear of blacks because they had no one man enough to speak up. And those that did speak up, like Caballo, and that fought back, he was only holding it down for himself and those that was willing to step up with him. But if you ain't willing to step up with me, then you know what? You get stepped on. And that's how it went down. But it was one building that you couldn't go to on Rikers Island, C95, San Juan, Puerto Rico. You better not go to San Juan, Puerto Rico, C95. You go to that building as a black man, you're not getting on the phone. They might rape your locker. You ain't looking at no TV. All that blacks, get your Moreno ass, get the fuck. They was running you up out of there. And if you stayed there, you was getting your ass whooped. Because they was getting word on how they was treated. And those Latinos that was in that building came from other buildings and seen the oppression that they was getting from blacks. So when they went over there and the black dude came, they was extra on you. They was in fear everywhere else. The only building that they was able to live in was C95. Then came the Latin Kings, the Trinitario, the Macheteros, the Yeta, and Rikers Island. See, what happened was this. While blacks was ruling, Latinos was in them little corners whispering. See, the language barrier makes a big difference. They was over there speaking Spanish. They would speak right in front of them. Yeah. Oh, you mean ese tipo? They'd just go right off on them. And blacks don't even know. They planning and plotting on knocking your top off. And you don't even know. And that's just what happened. All of those different nations came from Latin King. All you heard was, Asociación Nieta. Yo, the gates would rattle, man. It was so many of them. When they screamed or when they went to that yard and met up, because in prison, they have 5-man to a group. Anything more than that, you could get a ticket, get locked up. It was so many of them, the police couldn't even stop it. There was so many, and Sing Sing, it was so many of them in the yard, and they screamed, Asociación Nieta, and Latin Kings over here, and the Macheteros. Yo, man, it was crazy. Blacks lost control, and they didn't know how to deal with it. In comes 1993, but before that, guess what happened? The Latinos did just what was going on with them. They began to oppress the black brothers. That's what happens with oppression. You in control one time, you out of control. And now you being oppressed. Let's see how you deal with it. They was running up in them. They was running shit. Blacks couldn't deal with it. Then, 1993, non-Trey. Blacks got fed up. They began to fight back. And when they fought back with an iron fist. If it was 3 of them and there was 10 Latinos, they would fight to the death. I mean, to the end. And write their name on the wall. They was holding it down. And the word began to spread in different buildings. Yo, they fighting back. They fighting back. But a lot of black people didn't want to get down with just the name blood. Nah, I ain't getting no gang shit. I'll fight back, but I ain't going to be in no gang. So in other buildings, such as the building I was in, I started MBK, my brother's keeper. And I had Latinos and black people down with me. But when it came time for war, you already know what's going to happen. The Latinos that was down, they jumped ship, became Latin Kings, and now we got beef with them. And it was crazy back then. But you had to fight and be able to hold your own, especially when the Latin Kings and all of them came about, because now they was running through black people. And the blacks had to be able to hold it down. And this is where you begin to see who the real black guys was, and that was willing to fight back on their own. One thing that Latinos is known for is their knife game. I don't care where you go, what prison you in, Latinos are about a knife. So every new Latino that came into a building on Rikers Island or any other prison, the first thing they would give him, I don't care if he was a punk, if he was a homosexual. Do I bless you? See, knife. They give him a knife. Here go a knife. They was arming each other up. Knife. Blacks dealing with razors and ready to fight with the hands. Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Latinos is pulling out a knife. That was a force to be reckoned with. So other buildings outside of C-73, where Bloods began their reputation, they started to get the word. And now everybody started to fight back. So don't get it confused. Bloods didn't come about because of the oppression of Latinos. Bloods and black people was just trying to get their power back that they lost. And guess what happened? Guess what happened? The power came. They gained control. And the first thing what they do, they start to oppress again. They oppress. Latinos begin to oppress themselves. And even in their own bylaws, it says not to oppress in the code of conduct. Bloods got control all over. They cutting, they stabbing, they doing shit for nothing. When there was a time when I was coming up, even when the blacks came about with non-Trey, they were scared to even throw the set up when they came upstate. Rikers Island, yeah, they was running around acting crazy. When they came upstate, they didn't even want to salute one another. They would say, wait until we get strong in the building, and then we let them know we blood. They didn't even want to say they was blood. I got many incidents where, from in Auburn and Sing Sing, where dudes was like, I'm like, yo, you homie? He like, yo, I'm like, yo, you blood? I wasn't even saying homie back then. I was like, yo, you blood? Yeah, I'm saying blood, but you know what I'm saying? I don't be like, shut up. Get your punk ass out of here. They wasn't even trying to let it be known they was blood. And I was the guy who they used to try to come to and be like, yo, the Spanish dudes over there talking about this and that. Yo, what they saying? I don't know what they saying. You go figure it out. Go pack your shit up. That's what you do. What happened is this. They got all of these different new sets. From non-trade, you got GKB, you got Valentine, you got all of these different sets. And what happens when you set a name on a certain part of people that separate? And now they begin to fight and oppress one another. When at one time, it was one nation. It was one brotherhood. It was one code of conduct. And now, you blood, but you GKB. You blood, but you Valentine. We had the right mindset, but if we would have did it with the gang culture, without the gang mindset, just coming together, it would have set a whole different flood of unity amongst blacks and Latinos. Because one goddamn thing for sure, Latino would have rolled on the bandwagon. Once when we got that power back and started oppressing and brought them aboard, we'd have been stronger than ever. You know, the Latinos, the Latin kings and Nieta, they began to fade out. They was fading out. And now